You've probably heard the saying, you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. It's been attributed to a lot of different people, so I don't know who to name as the author, other than to say it wasn't me. Whoever coined the phrase offered a good reminder. Life can be pretty unpredictable at times, so if you can stay flexible and adaptable, you're way ahead of the game. The U.S. Marines have a motto. I don't know if it's a motto or a saying that they use: improvise, adapt, and overcome. A good way to work around obstacles and roadblocks when they arise. In my experience, there are very few things that go just as planned. It's said that a battle plan goes out the window when the first shots are fired, and I suspect that's true. And in boxing, another way of saying that is your fight strategy goes out the window when the first blow is landed. And I can see that too. Well, I've never been in a battle and I've never had a fight strategy, but I can attest to the fact that that's true from my own experience in putting a plan together, that they very seldom go just as planned. I can attest to the sentiment. I've had some plans, some carefully devised plans that very seldom go just as planned. When I've been stubborn and inflexible, the result is usually a high degree of frustration. And that's happened more than once in my lifetime. Over the years, the more I got comfortable with shrugging off the difficulties and being flexible and working around the problems, things got a lot easier. And usually the tighter the plan, the more the tighter the plan, the better chance that something's going to go amiss. It's just the way life is. If you can develop a looser plan, you have a better chance of staying flexible and working around things that come up, things you have no control over, or things you seem not to have any control over. And now, having said that, I'm going to sit here and contradict myself right away. A few years ago, Kathy and I took a 3-week motorcycle trip, and this baby was planned to the T. I mean, the whole route was planned, all the motels were booked ahead of time, everything. And I have to tell you, everything went like clockwork. But that is so unusual. We didn't have any hitches at all. I mean, there were little things, day-to-day things that you have to deal with, traffic and whatnot, that there's nothing you can do about, no way you can plan for it. There were those things, but as far as the reservations and the route and everything went perfectly. But that is highly, highly exceptional. It is by far the exception to the rule in my experience. Of course, this particular trip was a makeup trip from our honeymoon that was cut short when my dad died. We were headed out, and on the second day of our honeymoon trip, my dad died, and we had to go back and cancel the trip. So this was the makeup trip. So I'm thinking maybe there was some divine intervention involved. Who knows? But that was the only trip that we ever planned to that degree, and we still talk about how perfectly that trip went. Our usual MO is a much looser plan where we book our motel one day at a time, one day in advance during the trip, and that works out really well for us. It allows for a lot more flexibility, and that's kind of how we enjoy making plans, with some room for flexibility. There have been times in the past when I've felt so overwhelmed by things happening around me that I just wanted to scream out loud. Maybe you've had similar experience to that. Everything just seems like it's out of your control. It hasn't happened in a while because over the years I've learned how to handle situations a little bit better, and the better I get at shrugging things off and finding a workaround, it cuts down on the frustration a whole bunch. And I've learned the difference between what's important and what's not important. That's a biggie. The sooner you figure that out, the better your life is, in my opinion, in my experience. What I'm trying to say is, even when things are chaotic and seem like they're out of control, there are still choices to consider and decisions to make, which gives you some control over the outcome. It might not be the perfect outcome, but you have some control of it. So things aren't totally out of your control. And I'm not talking about being a control freak. I'm just the opposite. What I'm saying is the better you are at being flexible and adaptable and finding workarounds, the easier things are. And again, that's just my experience, just my opinion on things. That's all I can ever give you is my opinion on things. I'm talking about adapting and overcoming, setting the sail, if you will. If the wind shifts, I can either let it take me where it wants to, or I can set the sail and let it take me where I want it to. It's my choice. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you stopping by and listening to me ramble and giving me some of your time. Time being as valuable as it is to us all. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you. If you've got a story you'd like to leave down in the comments about some adaptability that you've experienced or flexibility that you've experienced, I'd love to hear about it. Again, I really like the comments. I like reading other people's experiences too. So please feel free to do that. And I'd appreciate it again. Peace and joy, fair winds and following seas.